Hello, and welcome to this advanced custom drag-and-drop interaction tutorial for Adobe Captivate. Today we're working in Adobe Captivate 2019 release. This interaction goes beyond the basics of Captivate's built-in drag-and-drop interaction through the use of advanced actions, and allows customized feedback to appear when the learner drags various drag sources into drop targets. This type of interaction would be great for giving your learners practice classifying items by type, or perhaps learning about things in light of certain categories. Here you can see a preview of an interaction I recently created, called Single Stream Recycling Practice. In this interaction, learners can try to identify whether certain items can be recycled in a single stream recycling bin, or if they should be thrown away in the trash can. So for example, I will select this milk carton and see what happens if I drag it down to the recycling bin, and I am provided with some feedback text confirming that this item is, in fact, recyclable. Now, if I try to drag this coffee cup to the recycling bin, I receive feedback telling me that this item is not recyclable, and why. And I'm also encouraged to try again. So now, knowing that I can't recycle the coffee cup, I'll go ahead and drag it to the trash bin and receive confirmation that this is the correct option. As you can see, this is a neat way to let your audience test their knowledge and also learn about what is and isn't recyclable at the same time. For this tutorial, we're going beyond the basics of Captivate's built-in drag-and-drop interaction and applying some custom functionality, so it's helpful if you have a basic understanding of Captivate's variables and advanced actions. However, we will be walking through every part of the process step by step, so if you follow along with this video, you will be able to create your own unique advanced drag-and-drop interaction like this one. The process may seem fairly complex, but I'll be boiling this process down into 3 major steps. Step 1. Setting up the drag-and-drop interaction. Step 2. Creating custom feedback text states. And Step 3. Creating and applying advanced actions that display and hide the custom feedback text states. While this interaction has 8 sample items to play around with, to keep things easy to follow, I'll simplify this interaction down to only 3 items. We'll still be going through the exact same steps as with the larger interaction, so you'll be able to apply what you learn here to your project of any size. I've gone ahead and created a new project file with all of my images loaded. Into my project library, I've imported a background image, my logo, my recycling bin and trash can images, and my item icons. So let's go ahead and get everything laid out appropriately on the page. I'll start by applying the background image to the background. I'll also add my logo here and apply a little bit of alpha so it blends nicely into the background. I'll add a title to the top and write some instructional text directly below, directing learners how to play the game. I'll place my trash can and recycling bin at the bottom of the screen here, and my items over top. As a best practice, it's good to name all of your images so they're easy to work with. I've given all my images sample names. The trash can is called trash can, the coffee cup is called coffee cup, and so on and so forth. Now we're ready to start configuring the interaction. Step 1. Setting up the drag-and-drop interaction. The first thing we'll do is set up the basics for the drag-and-drop interaction itself. Select the window option at the top of the screen, and then the drag-and-drop option. Now on the Properties panel, you'll see the Drag-and-Drop tab. Now, another way to initiate a drag-and-drop interaction is through the Drag-and-Drop Interaction Wizard, which can be accessed through the Interactions drop-down menu on the toolbar. However, since we'll be adding a lot of customization to our interaction, let's go through the more manual process. Now select that Drag and Drop tab and select the plus icon to name the interaction. I'm going to name this interaction Recycle Drag Drop. As you may already know, In Captivate's drag and drop interactions, your two basic elements are going to be drag sources and drop targets. For this interaction, the item icons will be our drag sources, as there the items will be physically dragging, and the two bins will be our drop targets, as they're going to be the locations we're dropping the items on. Okay, now back to the drag and drop tab. You can either reselect the aluminum can icon with your cursor, or you can select aluminum can from the drop-down menu under the interaction title. Then we're going to designate it as a drag source from the Mark As drop-down menu. Let's repeat this process for all of our item icons and mark our trash can and recycle bin as drop targets. Okay, not quite done yet. Now we need to select the Options button in the Drag and Drop tab, and then select the Set Correct Answers button. The Correct Answers window will appear. From here, we'll designate which items belong in which can. For this practice activity, because we're teaching about the basics of single-stream recycling bins, we want to teach our learners that aluminum cans and milk cartons are recyclable, but disposable coffee cups are not. So our aluminum can belongs to recycle bin, the milk carton also belongs to recycle bin, and the coffee cup belongs to trash can. Let's select the OK button to move on. Let's make a few final adjustments to this interaction before we move on to creating our custom feedback. Under the Actions button in the Drag and Drop tab, you'll see some new things have opened up for us. First and foremost, I'm going to deselect the Failure Caption and Success Caption options, since we're going to be making our own feedback text. Keeping these options selected will only allow for one blanket piece of feedback text to be provided when the learner submits a response. What we want to do instead is provide feedback for the submission of each item. So rather than just getting confirmation that they made all selections correctly, we want to give them positive and negative feedback for each item they drag into a bin. That way, the learner knows right then and there why that item either is or is not recyclable, giving them a more customized learning experience. We're also going to select the Auto Submit Correct Answers checkbox because we don't want to force learners to select the Submit button in order to check their work. If you prefer to leave the button in the interaction for this purpose, please feel free to do so. However, for my recycling interaction, I prefer the learner get immediate feedback upon dropping something into the trash or recycling bins, so I'm going to check this box. Because I've made the Submit button not necessary, I'm going to move it to the side so it's off my course screen and the learner won't see it. Okay, almost done getting the drag and drop set up. I'm going to select the trash bin and then select the Object Actions button. We'll be coming back to this window later on to apply the advanced actions we create. But first, let's make a tiny tweak. Let's deselect the Accept All option. This will make it so we can only have one item in a bin at any given time. Finally, let's select the Replace Radio button next to On Accept. This will make it so that if we drag a new item into a bin that already has an item in it, the old item will go back to its starting place. Repeat the process for the other bin. Okay, we're not quite done yet. If we preview the course now, you can see that we can successfully drag the icons around and drop them in the bins. Time to move on to Step 2. Step 2. Creating custom feedback text states. Alright, we've set up the basic configurations for the drag and drop interactions. But now we want to make it so the learner gets customized feedback text explaining why each option is either correct or incorrect. Let's create a new text caption by selecting the text option from the toolbar. We're purposefully going to leave this text box blank. Let's give it a name, just like we have everything else, to keep things organized and easily identifiable. I'll call this Drag Drop Feedback. Now let's give it some custom states reflective of our correct and incorrect answers. Select the State View button from the Properties tab. From here, you can see the Object State panel has appeared on the left side of the screen. Let's start by creating our feedback for the aluminum can. Select the New State button at the top of the panel, and let's call this new state Aluminum Can Correct. Now you can type in the text you want the learner to see when they correctly put the aluminum can in the recycling bin. I'll go ahead and type it now. To jazz it up a little, under Caption Type, I'll select the gray space option, only because I think it looks nice. As a final cosmetic touch, I'm going to add a large gray box to the screen behind the text box as well. The reason I'm going to do this is that so the interaction is darkened when the feedback text pops up on the screen, putting more of a visual focus on the feedback text. This step is optional, but I think it's a nice touch. I'll right-click and hover over the Arrange option and select Send Backwards so that it falls behind my new text box. I'll select a darker gray color from the Fill option and set opacity to something like 50%. Okay, I'm done. Let's repeat these steps for the incorrect feedback we want to appear if the learner incorrectly drags the aluminum can into the trash can. Fortunately, we don't have to repeat each single step. All we have to do is right-click the Aluminum Can Correct state and then select the Duplicate State option. We'll name our new state Aluminum Can Incorrect. We don't have to recreate the text box or the faded background. All we have to do is change the feedback text so that it says what we want. I'll go ahead and type my new text here. We've just finished creating our first set of correct and incorrect feedback. Now let's repeat the process for our other two items. I'll name the coffee cup feedback Coffee Cup Correct and Coffee Cup Incorrect. And the same for Milk Carton. Milk Carton Correct and Milk Carton Incorrect. All right. When you're all done, select the Exit State button from the toolbar. One more thing to do before we're ready to move on to Step 3. Let's create a button that will allow the learner to close the feedback window when they're done reading. From the Interactions option in the toolbar, go ahead and select the Button option. You'll see that a default button appears. You could keep this button and change the text over to the right in the Caption area, but I'm going to instead make this an image button by changing the style from text button to image button, and then selecting a button image I already made. Captivate also has lots of built-in image buttons, so you could simply select one of the readily available options that appears in the preview area as well. Once we've created the button, let's rename it to Close Pop-Up. Make sure that you select the eyeball icon next to the button name so that the button is not visible by default. Okay, let's move on to Step 3. Step 3. Creating and applying advanced actions that display and hide the custom feedback text states. So now we have our drag and drop interaction, and we have our feedback states. Now we need to tie everything together using advanced actions. So let's think for a moment about what we want to happen. For example, when the learner drags the aluminum can into the recycling bin, we want to tell them that they're correct. So we want the Aluminum Can Correct state to appear. We also want the Continue button to appear. What will happen next? We want the learner to select the Continue button, and we want that button to force the feedback text to close so that they can keep playing with the interaction. Let's start with the appearance of the feedback text. We'll create a new advanced action called Aluminum Can Correct. Select the Advanced Actions option from the Project tab, and the Advanced Actions window will appear. Select the plus button in the top right corner to create a new advanced action. There are 4 things that we want this action to trigger. First, we want to make the feedback text appear. Select Show and drag-drop feedback to make this happen. Next, we want to make sure that the feedback text is displaying the right text. Select Change State Of, and then drag-drop feedback, and then finally Aluminum Can Correct to make this happen. Next, we want the Continue button to appear to give learners the ability to close the feedback and keep playing. Select Show and close pop-up to make this happen. Finally, we want to make sure that the Continue button is working before the learner tries to click it. Select Enable and close pop-up to make this happen. Okay, we just finished our first advanced action. Let's shift gears for a moment and go ahead and tie this action to our project. Select the Recycling bin and then the Drag and Drop tab. Then, select the Format button and the Object Actions button. Remember this window? We're now going to apply our new advanced action. Select the No Action text next to Aluminum Can and change to Execute Advanced Actions. Under the Script option, select Aluminum Can Correct and then OK. Then, hit OK once again to close the window. Now, let's preview the project. Excellent! Our feedback text has appeared just like we wanted. However, you'll notice that clicking the Continue button doesn't do anything at the moment. It's time to create a new advanced action to make that happen. Let's close out of the preview. Navigate back to the Advanced Actions area under the Project tab. We'll create another new advanced action by selecting the plus icon. We'll call this one Close Pop-up. There are 3 things we want to happen when the learner clicks the Continue button. First, we want the drag-drop feedback text to go away. To make this happen, let's select Hide and then drag-drop feedback. Next, we want to make the Continue button go away. To make this happen, let's select Hide and close Pop-up. Finally, we want to disable the Continue button so that it is not selectable until the feedback window reappears. To make this happen, select Disable and then close Pop-up. We're now done with this advanced action. Okay, to apply these behaviors to the Continue button, let's go ahead and select the Continue button and then the Actions button from the Properties tab. From here, under On Success, select Execute Advanced Actions and under Script, choose Close Pop-up. Okay, great. Let's preview our course again. We'll try dragging the aluminum can into the recycling bin. See our correct feedback appear, and now the Continue button works the way we'd like it to. Now let's create an advanced action for the incorrect feedback for the aluminum can. Fortunately, as with the creation of the feedback states, we don't need to manually repeat these steps. Let's open up the Advanced Actions window once again and select our Aluminum Can Correct action. From here, select the Duplicate Action icon in the top right of the window. A copy of this action has been created. First things first, let's rename this new action so that it's Aluminum Can Incorrect. Everything about this new action will be identical to the previous one, except we want the state of drag-drop feedback to change to Aluminum Can Incorrect. Go ahead and make that change now. Update action, select OK. Let's repeat this step for the correct and incorrect states for the coffee cup and milk carton. Again, no need to manually repeat the advanced action steps. Let's just keep duplicating our existing actions and change only the state of drag-drop feedback as well as the name of the advanced action. I'll create Coffee Cup Correct, Coffee Cup Incorrect, Milk Carton Correct, and Milk Carton Incorrect. Once we've created all of our advanced actions, let's go back into the drag and drop settings and apply each advanced action to the trash can and recycle bin. Select the recycle bin, Go back into the Drag and Drop tab, and then select the Object Actions button under Format. Change each instance of no action to the appropriate advanced action. So because this is the recycling bin, we want the milk carton to display milk carton correct and the coffee cup to display coffee cup incorrect. Let's repeat the process for our trash can. All of our actions will now be opposite. The aluminum can will be set to aluminum can incorrect, the milk carton will be set to milk carton incorrect, and the coffee cup will be set to coffee cup correct. Hit OK, and now let's preview our project once again. And we're done. It works just like we want. Thank you for following along with my tutorial. I hope that you have fun creating many custom drag and drop interactions just like this one.